Hello, and welcome to Totally Schway Flipside. My name is Mary,
My name's Luke.
and today we are going to talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about.
Hmm.
And it's actually what Luke wants to talk about today, and that is the Penguin Show. Not to be confused, if you Google the Penguin Show and it automatically comes up to some people dancing, that is not the show we're talking about. We're talking about the HBO show starring Colin Farrell.
Oh, I'm glad you clarified that.
Yes, you're welcome.
If the thumbnail didn't give it away, then people might have thought we were talking about a dance show.
I just needed to put that out there. I don't even think that other show is broadcast. I think it's just a dance show.
Is it? Did they get approval from Warner Brothers to be
I
called The
think they
Penguin
had
Show?
it before.
I don't know about that.
But hey, Warner Brothers.
Unleash the legal eagles.
Get those eagles. Cuckoo-ca-cha! So, I wasn't too sure about this show.
Even after watching it?
No, I mean before watching it, I
Oh, okay.
wasn't too sure about it. After watching it, I must say I'm intrigued. I think it was good. I hope it stays this way. But I kept thinking throughout this whole thing, by the way, we're just getting into this because I want to.
Mhm.
The whole time I was thinking, this could have been the next season of The Sopranos.
Yeah, well, people joke that Colin Farrell's Oz Cobb is his Tony Soprano cosplay.
Yeah, not hating on it because I really liked it. I thought it was a mixture of James Gandolfini, Marlon Brando, with a little bit, just a smidge of Sam Jackson.
Huh. I was going to say a bit of Robert De Niro as Al Capone, excuse me, in The Untouchables.
I mean, I guess I can see that, but I kind of like the actors. I mean, I love Robert De Niro, but I like the actor smoothie that I made.
Yeah, I've just with that little slip up then where I said the wrong name, and now I desperately want to see Robert De Niro playing Al Pacino. Please,
Oh my goodness,
someone
could
make
you
it happen.
imagine? You know what? Warner Brothers, it's me again. You've not returned my calls, text, old tweets.
Smoke signals,
Yes, what is that tapping one?
Morse code.
Morse code. But hey, I'm still gonna try. Let's make this happen. If you need a writer, I could pretend to be something. I, it's an idea. Robert De Niro as Al Pacino. With that being said, can we talk about some of the people that star in the show this first episode?
Yeah, who do you want to start with? Would you like to start with the star of the
No,
show?
you can start with the star, and then I was really surprised with the person I want to talk about.
Okay, all right. Well, obviously the star of the show is, as you mentioned, Colin Farrell
Mm-hmm.
in his unrecognizable prosthetic makeup as Oz Cobb. I think there's been a lot of discussion online. People outraged that he's not called Oswald Cobblepot.
Who cares?
Yeah, I mean it doesn't really matter. He's the Penguin,
It's
and
an iteration of the same thing.
I don't think they ever called him Oswald Cobblepot in the Batman film either,
I
did
don't
they?
think they
I think
did.
they might have said Oz Cobb. They definitely said Oz, and most of the time they just called him Penguin.
If it's really bothering you that much, listen, do these things. There's 3 things you could do. 1, get off the internet.
Yeah.
2, drink a glass of water. Or maybe 8, because you're supposed to drink 8 glasses of water. And number 3, maybe get a pet. Find something to do with your life other than worry and concern yourself about what the name of a fictional character is going to be.
Well, yes, basically. Yeah. I mean,
Or the nickname for a fictional character.
I've just seen a lot of people going, it's so disrespectful to the source material. I'm like,
But
well,
it's not.
it's not at all. It's an adaptation. You're supposed to
Yeah.
change things. There's no point in making it exactly the same because otherwise it's just a pointless recreation. Think about who was it? Gus Van Sant's remake of Psycho that was a shot-for-shot remake and somehow was awefuler, far more awful.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know what you're talking about because I'll never ever let that get back into my brain
I mean,
because
to be
I
honest,
love Psycho, but not the thing that you're talking about.
To be honest, I didn't think the shot-for-shot remake was that bad. I know I remember people saying it was terrible, but I didn't think it was terrible. It was all right.
You know who I was really surprised because I didn't watch. This is something about me that I don't know if you guys know. I don't delve into a show before I watch it, but, unless I'm. It's not that I wasn't interested in the show. It's just I wanted to have a little bit of surprise. But I don't delve into shows beforehand to get all of the sneak peeks and all of this because I like some surprise in my life. So I didn't know that Clancy Brown was going to be in this. And what's really funny is one of my all-time favorite shows is Dexter. And then Dexter New Blood, I didn't get a chance to watch it until recently. I didn't know he was in that either. So
And Clancy Brown's everywhere.
I am stoked.
I'm very pleased to reveal that I am Clancy Brown. No.
No. No. No. Um so in this first episode, I'm just gonna run down some names. You have British actress. Why can't I say British? I live in Britain. Um Carmen Ejago?
He's a Jogo.
Ejogo?
I believe so.
Pardon me, I'm Oklahoman. I can't even say my name right.
Hmm.
You have Michael Zegan, and I think I'm gonna say her name right. Probably not, but Kristen Miliato or Miliati. Miliati?
Milioti, I think.
Do you think she's Italian?
No, I think she.
Oh.
Yeah, probably.
She looks like she could have played Versace, like in the movie Versace.
Hmm.
Anyway.
Well, yeah, she plays Sophia Falcone, doesn't she? So one of the things that, okay, this is the guy that's read the Batman comics coming in with his I was going to say hot takes, but this is not a hot take. This is a tepid take. They have adapted the Falcone family in a very different way to how they appeared in the comics. So you've got Alberto Falcone is in this. I forget the name of the actor that played him, and we're looking at the list of the cast members, and I can't remember which one was him, because he only has a very brief role, and it was one of the things I really liked.
Michael Zegan.
Is it Michael Zegan?
Plays the brother.
Oh, okay. Thank you for confirming.
You're welcome.
So he has a very brief role at the start where Penguin is, after Falcone was murdered by the Riddler at the end of the Batman, Penguin has now gone to the Iceberg Lounge office, and he's smashing open the safe to help himself to the blackmail material that Falcone had. And his son Alberto turns up. Now Alberto is assumed to be the new head of the family because he's the eldest son, but he's a complete mess. This guy, he's a drug addict, an alcoholic. He's all over the place. That's kind of an interesting adaptation of the Alberto Falcone as he appeared in the Long Halloween, where he was kind of like this meek, quiet. I guess he was never deemed to be appropriate for the crime family. He was supposed to be, he's trained to be a lawyer, I believe. He wasn't supposed to be involved in the crime, the criminal activities. And he went on to become, spoilers for Long Halloween, one of the holiday serial killers. At least he's the one that took the blame for all of the killings and was sent to Arkham. Now, it's funny that he doesn't last 10 minutes in this because, he confronts Penguin about smashing open the safe. Penguin's like, I was doing you a favour. I was getting these jewels out for you because, your dad said that he wanted you to have them. And you know what these guys are like. They're like vultures. They'll come and peck at everything. Mm-hmm. So he sits down and has a drink with Alberto, and Alberto basically disrespects Penguin.
Laughs at him.
Yeah, he laughs at him. He mocks him. And it's funny because Alberto actually sees Penguin exactly for who he is.
A bullshitter.
Yes, he sees through his nonsense. And he doesn't trust him. And he doesn't respect him at all. And the Penguin's response is to just pull out his gun and shoot him.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the the bit that genuinely made me laugh out loud, like his reaction after killing Alberto. He's like got this like smug, self-satisfied look on his face, like yeah, that showed him, and it slowly dawns on him what he's just done, and he goes, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah. So I'm actually going to I'm gonna do something I don't normally do. I'm gonna read off my notes before I actually talk about them. So I've got 8 notes, I believe. I say I believe when I'm reading them. I think I counted that correctly. So my notes here, very short notes. Purple car.
Correction, it's not purple.
It's plum.
It's a plum car.
Um, Burgess Jules. Deformed foot. Bird names.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, kills new guy, takes his idea.
Yeah.
Clancy Brown, that's just a note. And Penguin's a bullshitter.
Very detailed notes that thoroughly cover the events of the episode.
Write that? I can't.
Inclusivity.
Yeah, inclusivity.
So there is a scene. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Do you want to describe it, please?
Okay, so there's this scene when he's going back to the to his apartment, isn't it?
It's his lady friend's apartment.
Oh, his lady friend's apartment.
Yeah.
And these two hookers walk by,
Mm-hmm.
and they are beautiful, by the way, but they are obviously in drag.
Mm-hmm.
And he says something along like, "Hey, beautiful," or something like that.
They say, "Hey, Oz," and he's like, "Evening, ladies."
Oh, I thought it was like, "Hey, beautiful," or something.
Something like that. But one of them flashes.
Oh, yeah.
His little sidekick.
Yeah, and I was just like, you know what? I love it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just a little thing. Like you might think someone gruff and abrasive like the Penguin might call them freaks or something. Or
Yeah.
Get the hell away from him. But he's just completely accepting of who they are.
Yeah, and I love that. Like, and you know why I love it? It's because Penguin is considered to be, I hate this term. I hate it because I was called it when I was younger, a freak, if you will. Just because he's different. And it sucks because a lot of people that are, made fun of as kids or adults, they get called these names and everything. You would expect them to do the same thing to other people. But in this, I love the fact that they didn't do that.
No.
He's inclusive, and he can be kind. And there's a kindness that he takes with his little sidekick.
Victor, yes.
Yeah, Victor.
It's interesting that his name is Victor Aguilar. Aguilar. I looked this up because obviously I don't speak Spanish. I mean, I have a GCSE in Spanish for anyone that knows what GCSEs are. But Aguilar means, I guess it can be translated as the place where eagles hang out.
The eagle's nest.
Yeah, the eagle's haunt is how it came up. But that sounds weird to me, like they're ghosts or something. But it's just another character with a bird name, Falcone, the falcon, Penguin himself, obviously, and Victor, where the eagles hang out. That's what I'm going to call him from now on. Is it a bit long?
I'm sorry, I'm just watching our cat's Thor. He is asleep, but he's dreaming, and his little ears are just flapping everywhere like a bird. So I thought that was funny. Totally useful information there. Mm-hmm. What is there anything you didn't like about this show?
Some of the CG looked a little bit fuzzy. Like when they were driving around in Gotham in the rain, it looked a bit low resolution. Like you could tell the background to a computer generated.
I couldn't tell you that I noticed. Like I couldn't say that I noticed because I was so I had tunnel vision for like the little bits of comic relief, and I didn't notice. To be honest, I didn't care.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care either. I mean, it's still a very visually distinct city, and it's one of the things that I don't like about The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises is that Gotham is just any other city.
It's New York City.
It was filmed in Chicago.
I know, but it's New York City. Like, honestly, watching those films, I just was like, this could be New York City. Like, that's what it is. It's not dark and grimy like Gotham. Because even in, like, the most affluent parts of Gotham, you have this grime to
Hmm.
it, but that didn't happen.
No, but it does happen in this,
Yeah,
doesn't
in
it?
this one, it's beautiful. And here's a thing I've said before: Gotham isn't just a city, Gotham is a character in any show that involves Batman. It is a character, and they've done well with this so far. I know
Yeah.
it's only the first episode, but you can tell that they've put care into this.
Well, yeah, they're very much keeping the same aesthetic from the Batman. But I'm pretty certain they didn't film any of this in Scotland. They might have
No.
done, but I don't think they did.
So do you think Colin lives over there, or do you think he's just got like a really long visa?
I bet he lives over there. That's my guesstimate.
Yeah.
But yes, kind of going on to what you said about, or sticking with what you said about Gotham. I I really like how run down it is. Now, okay, this series takes place a week after the end of the Batman, when the Riddler blew up the seawalls and flooded the city.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's still a disaster zone recovering. But even still, there are areas that didn't get massively impacted, and they are still grotty hellholes.
So I want to say something. We're not going through like a play by play of this because we actually want you to go and watch it.
Hmm.
Even though we're not sponsored by Warner Brothers, but hello, my email is open. I don't use Twitter anymore, but you know what, Warner Brothers, you know where to find me. But we want you guys to go and watch the show to find out what's happening, because there's some little bits in there that are, when they were happening, I was like, oh, this is such a dramatic little bit. Like with his mother, for instance. I'm not gonna tell you what happens, but the scene with his mother, I thought it was gonna be this like whole, oh my God, Oz, how could you be such a failure, or something like that. But it wasn't completely that way. It was actually quite funny in my opinion.
Yeah, it was quite funny. And the thing is, I was expecting Penguin to hide his criminal activity from his family, like he had in the early comic books. So there was one of his first appearances where, okay, this is kind of convoluted, but the Penguin never revealed his real name. He always used aliases like Mr. Boniface's and P.N. Gwyn. Um, and in order to get his real name, Batman threatened to tell his aunt what he'd been up to. Um, and in this, no, his mother is completely aware of the kind of life he leads and the things he gets up to, because he just flat out tells her what he's done. He has killed Alberto Falcone, and he needs to get out of Gotham because Sophia Falcone, his sister, is pretty certain that's what he's done.
Yeah, but literally, guys, please go watch this
Yeah.
because it. I want to see another season of it, and I've only seen one episode of this, and I don't say that a lot about TV anymore, which is disappointing. But I also don't watch a ton of TV anymore. But yeah, going back to what I was saying about them caring about this,
Hmm.
the DC universe, a lot of them can just they you can definitely tell they were fangirls or fanboys because of the outcome of the show, like the actual project and how it looks, how it sounds. Because a lot of TV shows, they don't have very good sound, because they're cheaply made, because nowadays it's not as hard to make TV shows as it used to be. Um, and it just comes down to it just looking very, it felt like watching a movie.
Yeah.
And again, this is kind of, and it was very reminiscent of The Sopranos, even though it has nothing to do with The Sopranos, because they had really great actors in that show. And you just kind of lost all reality, and your only thought process was the storyline. And it's nice to get back to something like that.
Yes, yeah, and the show's logo is very evocative of the Sopranos logo, isn't it?
Let me put it up.
So the Sopranos,
I know
they
what The Sopranos is.
yeah, they had a pistol in the logo, whereas the Penguin's got kind of like a
Oh,
penguin.
I've put a video. Oh no. HBO, don't sue me. too late.
So you see the G kind of looks a bit like the
Yeah.
penguin's beak.
And then let's pull the Sopranos one up.
There you go. Live demonstration of how Mary Googles things for everyone. Thrilling, riveting stuff. You see where the R is like a gun?
I guess.
And then you flip to the penguin?
Yeah.
It's very evocative of that.
Yeah.
HBO get to do that because, it's HBO. They own both franchises, so
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah. That's cool.
But it really does underline the fact that Oz Cobb is very much a gangster in the Tony Soprano mold.
Yeah. What do you think? Have you actually delved into a lot of what's going to come
No.
in the storyline?
No. I don't think they're going to adapt any specific stories, but I will say that there are some kind of thematic similarities with the Penguin comic series that recently concluded, written by Tom King, which was about the Penguin had left Gotham and his children had taken over. And it was all about him coming back and reclaiming his empire. And this has kind of got a similar tone in that it's not Penguin reclaiming an empire, but it's actually building one from the ground up, because you see him kind of setting people up to play off against each other throughout this first episode. And he might look like a joke and people might think he's a joke, but he's actually very cunning and deceptive and ruthless.
But as the viewer, you can see through all of that. You're basically Falcone Jr.
Yeah.
You can see through everything that he's saying. You can kind of see his cogs turning a little bit, but you're not sure if it's actually going to go the right way or if it's going to be a complete blunder. And that is, I think that's wonderful, because a lot of the times when I'm watching a TV show, like I'm watching CSI at the moment, I'm rewatching CSI because it makes me think of like my grandparents, and I love that. Even when I first started watching that in 2000, I knew what was going to come. Like, I knew what was going to happen. In this, didn't see anything. Except for, I knew he was going to kill him. Falcone Jr. And that's what his name's going to be from now on.
Alberto, that's easy to remember. You can call him Al.
Junior.
All right, Junior then, fine.
Yeah, I saw that coming. Like, as soon as he popped in, and then I knew it.
Yeah, I know you said you didn't want to talk about like the actual events of the episode all that much, but I really like the physical.
You're gonna do it.
I like the physical comedy in this.
Oh yeah.
So like when he's disposing of Alberto's body and he's like struggling to take him down a flight of stairs, and you said, "Why don't you just chuck him over the edge?"
Yeah.
And then almost like a second later, he goes, "Huh," and then chuck the corpse down the staircase.
And there's a moment in there where Penguin is naked on a chair, and I thought there was going to be another Tigerland moment, and thank goodness.
Apparently he did wear a prosthetic penis for that scene, just in case the cameras caught anything.
Oh,
but I'm glad they didn't show.
You know what? I feel that Colin Farrell just will do anything for a good take.
It was bad enough seeing his manky, deformed foot.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the legs.
No,
the foot. The foot. It was. I can't remember the name of the foot disorder that does that, but there's an actual disorder that
sure
does
there
that.
is. I thought he'd just had an injury.
No,
because he's got that big scar on his face as well. And they mentioned that he had brothers.
Yeah.
And when they go to his mother's house, you can see him with two other kids.
And at his house.
Yes, yeah, and you have to wonder if perhaps, well, they'll probably delve into this throughout the series.
Probably the last episode of the season, like most things.
He killed his brothers and in the process made his foot all manky.
Yeah. He stubbed his toe.
Oh, that's a really bad toe stub.
And then he, you know what? He's done something that I would probably do. Actually, I have broken my foot by stubbing my toe. But what I was thinking is maybe he stubbed his toe really bad, and then that sometimes you bounce around after doing that, and then you get angry, and then maybe he tripped over, broke a glass, accidentally hit the floor,
cut his face.
Yeah, and also just ate a sub on the way down. And that's why Penguin looks the way that he does.
That's his
A white bread
origin.
sub sandwich, of
Yeah.
course.
Well, I mean, it's all basically cake, isn't it? The Subway bread.
Apparently. It's what they figured out in the UK anyway.
Yeah.
But were there any things that, well, actually there are some characters that are going to be in there, or some stars that are going to be in there that I only because I saw this
Like
what,
cast list.
cast list, that's the thing. So Mark Strong's going to be in it.
Yeah, he was shown briefly. He plays Carmine Falcone in presumably in flashbacks. I mean, he was shown in a photograph.
Oh, Michael Kelly was in it briefly. The
Yes.
he of House of Cards fame. I mean, there's other things he's done, but that's what I know him from mostly.
Yes, he plays Johnny Vitti. Johnny Vitti, if I remember rightly, was one of the victims of the holiday killer. So I don't think they're going to include well I was going to say I don't think they're going to adapt the Long Halloween. They can't really because Alberto Falcone is dead already. There's no Harvey Dent in this yet. So yeah, I mean they may adapt elements of it, but who knows?
Also, Deidre O'Connell played the mother.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking at the name right now, and I still couldn't say the first name, Francis. And also Theo Rossi
He's going to be in it.
from Sons of Anarchy fame. He's going to be in it. He's going to play Dr. Julian Rush.
I don't know who that is.
Neither do I. It's not Dr. Harley Quinzel, so I don't know who it is. And it's not my doctor, who I still don't know their name.
No.
But hey, that's fine. I hope that we get that same energy every episode. And I think we will. I think some episodes might be a little bit more action packed. But I hope we get that because it literally felt like I was watching The Sopranos again.
Mhm.
And you know how long it's been. So Luke, a couple years back, watched The Sopranos all the way through for the first time,
Yes,
right?
during COVID lockdowns.
Yeah. And I had finished Sopranos in 2006, 2007 when it ended.
Mhm.
And it has been a very long time since I have felt like I was watching an HBO original
Mhm.
that good. Not saying that there haven't been really great HBO shows because there has.
There has to have been, yes.
But this just felt like the old HBO, and I like that.
One of the things that
No holds bar.
one of the things I'm encouraged by is the fact that it's 8 episodes and not 10, because I don't know if this is
No fillers.
like if you watch like shows on Netflix or Amazon that are 10 episodes long usually, particularly live action stuff where the episodes are like 45 minutes or more, there's always like a filler episode. You think about The Walking Dead as well, the later seasons of The Walking Dead, how many episodes they told the same story but just from a different character's perspective, just to like pad it out a bit. Like, here's what Daryl was doing during this part, and then the next episode, well, here's what Maggie was doing during that part of the story.
Yeah.
And they could have condensed it down into like one episode just showing both of their perspectives. But anyway, I don't think they're going to do that with Penguin.
Yeah. I have to say, I am one of those. I'm not an elder millennial. I will never call myself an elder millennial because elder will never be anything that describes me. But I am a millennial that loves things that are streamed. I love watching like 3 or 4 episodes at a time. I love that. I was a tiny bit disappointed that the whole thing wasn't on there, but
No.
I also know that it is an HBO show. And HBO traditionally do an episode a week. But on to my next thought. Why are there 10 days?
Yeah.
Between, I mean, I know that happens sometimes because you want to get 2 episodes out or you're finishing off another show and you just want to get that out or whatnot. But there's 10 episodes from, I think, this Sunday.
Yeah, 10 days between episode 1 and episode 2.
So in the States, if you've got Max, it is going to be if you have it, you would have watched it on Thursday. And then there's another episode on Sunday at night, 9 p.m., I
They're
believe.
replaying the first episode on Sunday.
Oh, I thought it
Yeah.
was two.
No,
Oh, so it's not the third episode that's playing the 10 days after, it's the
no, it's the
second
second one. That's
episode.
why I think it's weird.
Yeah. Oh, so that's so different then.
Yeah.
And why?
And the thing is, they are replacing another show
Mm-hmm.
on. Well, sorry, they're not replacing it. They are. There's this other show that is in that time slot right now. I can't remember what the show is. I apologize. I should have researched this. But the last two episodes are getting bumped because of Penguin, and I guess they're just filling time based on what time slots they have available in their schedule. But it would have been nice to have some consistency. It would certainly make doing a podcast about the series much easier, wouldn't it?
I wouldn't know.
Nah.
I don't have a good podcast. But
You've
no,
got
I thought,
two.
see, I was mistaken then. So actually, I don't know. I still think it is a bit. Are they going to do that every time? So are they going to play it on a Thursday and a Sunday?
No, I think the first episode is Thursday and Sunday, the day this podcast comes out. Second episode is a week after. So
That's gnarly.
Yeah, it's
Not
just
the
kinda
gnarly
weird.
that people. I say gnarly all the time, but it's gnarly in the bad way. That's. Anyways, HBO, we're not criticizing you.
I am.
I am not criticizing you. So if you are still there, it's me again. I would say that I could do something for you, but Christmas is coming up and work's gonna get a little busy. You could use my face. You know what? I think we've talked enough about the first episode and how we feel, because I think we are both in agreement that it was great.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next.
Mm-hmm.
I liked seeing the Penguins' plan come to fruition, and he's basically at this point anyway something of a puppet master. He's manipulating everybody, doing what he wants. I'll be interested to see how things develop with Victor, his little assistant.
Can I make a prediction?
Go ahead.
I think Victor is going to double cross him.
I think so too.
And then he's going to feel bad about double crossing him. And then he's going to come back to Penguin. Somehow he's going to save Penguin again.
I think Penguin's going to kill him, because he was going to kill him when they were dumping Alberto's
Oh my God, yeah.
Because he says to him, hey, why don't you have a look at that nice sunrise over
Yeah.
there? And he's like, oh no, he's going to shoot me in the back of the head.
Yeah.
And he's like, yes, I am.
That's my prediction. Hopefully I'm wrong about that. But, yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see, won't we? Should we jump over to comments from last time?
Sure. I
So-
don't even remember what we talked about last time.
We talked about the Batman last time.
The Batman.
But there was one comment that came in too late on our Man of Steel episode, and I did say that we would respond. So it's a long one, so brace yourself.
Big Mikey P?
No, it's the Phantasm.
Oh, hey, Phantasm.
Who says, hey, Luke and Mary, hope you're doing well. Sorry for not commenting last time about Man of Steel, but generally I don't really enjoy talking about things I'm not fond of. That was especially the case with the film. It's not really unpopular to say, but the film just didn't connect with me. To give my thoughts on it, didn't want to talk about it, was going to do it anyway. To give my thoughts on it before I talk about Matt Reeves' The Batman, the film on a fundamental level just didn't feel like Superman to me. One of my least favourite things a writer can do with Superman is focus too much on the alien and super part and not enough on the man aspect of the character. Man of Steel focused on the idea of what if Superman was Jesus, which the film is constantly reminding the audience with its
He's not?
very unsubtle imagery that his actual personality flaws. That his actual personality falls by the wayside. There were glimmers there, but it always felt like subtext. It's especially disappointing because, for me, it wasted the perfect casting of Henry Cavill, and all he had to work with was looking stern and the occasional grimace. As an aside, despite how influential John Byrne's take on Superman has been, I really dislike the whole concept of the birthing matrix and Kal-El being the first natural birth in years, which was used in the film. Also, the Superman suit being Kryptonian armor in the film and also in the New 52 is not something I care for, and much prefer it when it's homemade, which is why I'm so excited we will at last have the trunks again in live action. When talking about Man of Steel, there is no way to avoid the topic of Zack Snyder, and speaking for myself, I've never been a fan. To me, he is one of the definitive examples of Hollywood style over substance.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of creativity and masterful camera work in his films, but I really find the characters in his films endearing or interesting. I see what you mean, don't. Oh, rarely, excuse me. I rarely find the characters in his films endearing or interesting. and in general his films just don't appeal to me. I also really dislike the whole muted colour palette of the movie, and really all of his films, and the overabundant shaky cam I find nauseating. I especially don't care for the way he depicted Lois Lane in the film, which was one of my biggest disappointments. Now, I think Amy Adams is one of the greatest actresses of all time. That's high praise.
It's worth it.
And my God, her performance in Arrival is Oscar worthy, but sadly I thought she was a thoroughly unremarkable Lois Lane. Lois Lane's perseverance and integrity, fundamental to the character, are part of the reason why she has earned being a pinnacle of a strong female character in comics and a feminist icon. But as is, I never once felt that Henry Cavill and Amy Adams had an inkling of chemistry, and for me, a very poor rendition of what it meant to be the greatest couple in comic book history. The scene of Pa Kent dying because of the tornado has been memed to death, and all I'll say is I don't care for it. I will, however, say that I thought Michael Shannon was incredible as General Zod, and that's coming from someone who generally doesn't like the character. Sadly, I can't say the same for the DCEU's Lex Luthor, but I'll try not to talk about things that aren't in Man of Steel. Something that is built into the core of the film that I just don't vibe with is the idea of how would the world react to Superman if he existed in the real world, which I think is important to remember when taking into account of how Man of Steel came to be. We don't know this, but it's well documented that David S. Goyer, a writer-director I'm not terribly fond of, had writer's block while writing The Dark Knight Rises, and decided to take a hiatus during his time where he came up with the idea for Man of Steel, and took the picture to Christopher Nolan, who then recommended Zack Snyder, hence why many felt the post-Man of Steel the universe felt very quick to assemble, because it was originally meant to be a standalone as Nolan's Batman movies. But yeah, Man of Steel is not a film I hate, but also not one I look back on fondly. I am, however, unbelievably excited for James Gunn's Superman, especially since I thought that by far the best thing to come out of the now dead DCEU were his Suicide Squad movie and Peacemaker. Now, on to the Batman. Obviously, there were quite a few people who were apprehensive about the casting of Robert Pattinson due to his role in Twilight, but personally speaking, I had never seen or read anything Twilight related, and instead I knew him from other films he had done, such as The Lighthouse and Good Time, where he was amazing, so I was extremely excited. Then it was announced that the main villain would be my favourite Batman villain, the Riddler, so of course I was even more stoked. Come 2022, and I absolutely loved it. I was so glad that they finally had a live-action Batman that truly felt like a detective, because frankly that's an essential aspect that has never properly been explored in other Batman films. And I was so pleased to finally have a live-action Batman who actually had a great Batman voice, because Christian Bale's gravelly monster voice will never escape my nightmares. And I'm not fond of voice modulators for Batman that Affleck had. The brilliant cinematography by Greig Fraser I thought was perfect for Gotham's gothic and architecturally disastrous landscape, which really emphasized the tone. Everyone was phenomenal in the film, and I'm ecstatic to see this Batman continue, and thus far, this is my favourite live-action Batman, although that could change depending on how he progresses. The whole cast really brought their A-game, with Jeffrey Wright having such a perfect buddy cop chemistry with Pattinson's Batman.
Absolutely.
Zoe Kravitz nailing the 90s era Catwoman from the comics and with obvious Frank Miller inspirations. Colin Farrell stealing every scene he's in, although it did at times feel a bit too cliche Italian mafioso, and if I'm being honest, I would have maybe preferred if they had let him use his actual Irish accent. And of course, Paul Dano really giving it his all as this take on Riddler. Although, while Andy Serkis as Alfred is a great casting, at times it felt like the plot sort of forgets about him. Yeah, he spends half of his scenes in bed.
Which is, he probably loves that.
Oh yeah, he's getting paid to lay down. That's going to make a joke then. Better not. Don't worry. There are some who think that the Bruce Wayne persona was not portrayed well in the film, and that would be correct if he was portraying the Playboy persona badly, or the movie treated it as a good thing that he was avoiding it, which is not the case. At this point in his life, the Batman persona is all he has, and has yet to understand that he needs to be more than just a vengeful Batman. That's his entire character arc in the movie, and it's something he learns he needs to also use in the future. Now, although I do love this movie, that doesn't mean that there wasn't anything that didn't bother me. First off, I'm unbelievably exhausted of exploring Batman's early years, almost as I am tired of exploring high school Spider-Man. It's such a limiting time frame to Batman's career that it's been done to death, and often leads to very repetitive story arcs that at this point don't usually offer anything terribly new. Looking at you, Cape Crusader. Hiss. Then, of course, another issue for me is constantly taking inspiration from live-action Batman from the same stories over and over. It's always Killing Joke, Dark Knight Returns, Year One, Long Halloween, and Hush. all of which are really beginner stories for most readers. I know Matt Reeves mentioned in some interviews Batman Ego being an inspiration, but really that was just mild subtext. There were plenty obvious influences from Batman Earth 1, namely Martha Wayne originally being an Arkham and its take on Alfred, but that was not a plot point I ever cared for. There are things from Earth 1 I think are noteworthy, most notably Jeff Johns' excellent rendition of Waylon Jones, but the ones used in the film was not anything I gravitated towards, and of course I'm growing rather weary of grounded and realistic Batman. I know we'll get a more experienced Batman in a more comic-inspired world in James Gunn's DCU, but I view that as a double-edged sword since Damian Wayne will be Robin. Damian sucks. And lastly, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention something that I both enjoyed but is not my preferred take. While I mentioned that I thought Paul Dano gave an amazing performance and the Riddler is my favourite Batman villain, it totally didn't feel like the Riddler to me. Obviously, I'm more than open to seeing an alternate take on the character, and the film's Riddler is a good antagonist who really well embodies the dangerous side of vigilantism. But the Zodiac approach is not my preferred take on the character. I just adore campy pizzazz of the Riddler's villainy, coupled with his obsessive need to prove his superior intellect. And I just like it more when Batman is more obsessed with when Riddler is more obsessed, with Batman and their battle of wits than Gotham's corruption. The perfect Riddler for me lies in between Matt Reeves' Riddler, who expertly brought the intensity of the character up to 11 but feels more like an allegory for Gotham's oppressed, and the beat-ass Riddler, who had the personality but a poor origin and his motivations were never defined. In other words, the perfect Riddler is the Arkham Games Riddler, voiced by Wally Wingert, who, in my opinion, the definitive voice for the character and take on Riddler's personality of schemes. And to close off, I mean, everyone has shared the same sentiment that the worst scene in the movie was the scene with the Joker in the cell next to the Riddler. It felt very uninspired and tacked on. Also, I hate his design. Matt Reeves said this Joker didn't fall into a vat of acid, but I'm sorry, how else is what little hair he has left permanently green because he can't dye it while he's in Arkham? The deleted scene with him was kind of neat, but it was ultimately unnecessary because it gave away the Riddler's motivation too fast in the plot. Now, Luke, go give your voice a rest. This was only as long as it was because I talked about two subjects which won't happen again. I bet it will. I bet it will.
You were allowed to talk about as many subjects as you like. I agree with you that that scene was just meh. Meh. I say that every time I talk about that scene. It's just meh. It's like I am so bored of the Joker, other than in the Joker movie. I am so bored. It's like the same rendition over and over again. Oh my god. Let's do this all over again, you know?
I like the Joker.
I like the Joker too, but it's just like I've seen that same story over and over again, and that's such a lovely character. Not a lovely. He's a really bad person in terms of character, but the character's a good character that you could do so much with. So much.
Okay, so I'm actually going to move to the comments from the last episode now.
Okay.
Oh, my poor voice, it's already half worn out. Anyway, Harry Flew TV says, this is my favourite Batman film. Paul Dano has a very unique and chilling take on the Riddler. I hope the Batman films pay more homage to Batman the Animated Series, like delving into Bruce's compassion as Batman, which was perfectly portrayed by Kevin Conroy, R.I.P. to the definitive Batman.
Right.
And as I've said before, I hope the film introduces Veronica Vreeland and gives her that character growth. I'm autistic, so I'm very hyperfixated on Veronica Vreeland, lol. I'm very much looking forward to the future installments in the franchise and James Gunn's take on the character in his DCU. Gotham City got wet in the flood. It's completely useless now. Comment if you get the reference. I don't get the reference, but I appreciate you making it. I'm actually going to look. Did anyone comment? I bet 2 people did. Oh, it's Big Mikey P saying he didn't get the reference.
Our cat has just now woken up and looking at us like, you didn't get it.
Get out. Right, who's next? We have Lowell Lucas Jr. Hey, today is totally Schway. Better than watching Michael Bay.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not the greatest podcast in the world, but it's better than Michael Bay.
Wanted to thank you both once again for the shout-outs and just your combined content. Hope you saw my Hobbit video. I admit it's rough, but I'm still glad I did it. Yes, I did. I thought I left a comment on your Hobbit video. Maybe I didn't. But yes, I appreciate your enthusiasm for that animated version of The Hobbit. And it was nice to see the all those different versions of it that you had. Very interesting.
It's just also nice to see that people still care about The Hobbit the way
Mm.
that you do. I care about it as well, but it's just so nice not to just hear people crapping on Lord of the Rings, because that's something that I've seen at the moment. I don't know if it's just because my TikTok algorithm is that or something, but I like Lord of the Rings. I like The Hobbit.
Yeah.
I really
We
do.
still need to watch Rings of Power.
I think that's why people are like
Hmm.
dogging on some of the Lord of the Rings things. But you know what? Those people have worked very hard, and I didn't mind the first season.
Oh, I found it enjoyable enough.
Mhm.
It was perhaps a bit overlong, though. It was, again, it was that
It could have been 2 episodes shorter.
8 episodes. Mm. Anyway, to continue Lower Lucas Jr.'s comment, he says, I was super touched by your Harley Quinn 1 year anniversary video about our dear Arlene Sorkin. I'm thinking of doing a video on why Harley meant a lot to me from the series, and it's really thanks to you both. I may have to include how she kept me glued to the floor watching each episode besides seeing her and Ivy.
Do it. We want to see videos from you guys.
Also, why is everyone tripping on Superman snapping Zod's neck? Kal-El was saving lives. Don't finger shame the country boy trying to protect his new home and all its inhabitants. Also, saw your post on Mask of the Phantasm. Have you both thought about making a video discussing it and how there may never be a film quote like it?
I'm going to be honest with you. If we actually discuss Mask of the Phantasm, I'm going to have some ground rules with Luke, because this cannot be a 3 hour podcast, because the movie is not even 90 minutes. And he could talk about it in
Listen,
3
listen.
hours.
When I did that commentary track with Dan Reber, Kevin Altieri, and Brad Rader, cheap plug,
It was awesome.
our recording lasted 3 hours. It's a 70-minute movie. There's stuff on there that I will never ever release though, because well, perhaps it was perhaps a little too candid. But where was I going with this? Yeah, I mean, I could talk for hours about Mask of the
Yeah,
Phantasm.
there would definitely have to be some ground rules. And I don't know if Luke can actually comply with those
No.
without me having a fight with him.
No full rendition of I Never Even Told You every 15 minutes. You know, it's funny, when we went to see it in the cinema, I said to Mary we had to stay and listen to the song, and she was like, oh, it's a rubbish song. No one's going to do that. Nearly everybody did. To continue Lowell's comment, honestly, I wish I could go see it again after all these years. Go with my eyes been in pretty bad shape. It probably wouldn't be the best. Oh, I see. Friends took me to see Beetlejuice, and it was very difficult for me to say anything. Still, it's a good time, and I know you guys probably had a great time as well. We absolutely did.
We did. We haven't seen Beetlejuice yet, though. Beetlejuice yet. But I I wish that we could just pick movies to go see at the cinema, like once a week, like older movies.
Mhm. All right, next we have Screen Wiper, who has chicken news. Da-da-da-da-da.
Sorry, I got a little too excited.
2 new hens were added to my dinosaur collection yesterday. Betty and Wilma are most indignant about it. They've been anxiously pleading with me not to replace them. I would never. Wilma was shouting at the top of her voice today when she laid an egg. She wouldn't stop until I collected it. Normally she calls at a more moderate volume, and me saying, "Okay, thanks, Wilma, be there in a bit," out the window will do. At other times they've been berating me like wives who caught their husband cheating. While Wilma was in the coop laying her eggs and I was in the house making myself brunch, Betty jumped up to the banister that runs from the patio to the garden, probably in an attempt to be closer to me. Very acrobatic. Thankfully, I got some good photos of that out the window before she fell off unhurt. I let a friend name one of them Doris. The other one is very little but full of character, and I have named her Mabel.
Oh, I love that name, Mabel.
They have been very nervous so far, not surprising when Wilma and Betty have both given them the equivalent of a punch in the face. They needed to assert dominance as per chicken culture, but they are settling in already, less scared of me than yesterday. Wilma and Betty aren't being quite such massive drama queens either. They're seeing their worries about me not loving them anymore are utterly unfounded.
No.
Update. Yesterday, Monday, was sunny, and I booked it off work to supervise the hens while I completely segregated them. Wilma and Betty did try to beat them up, and I said no. First, I needed to use hands, but at the end of the day, my voice was enough. Last night, I let the new hens sleep in the coop, with a partition to protect them from Wilma and Betty, and that went well. Today, they are all roaming the garden freely as I work from home. The 2 pairs are sticking together, but staying away from each other and out of trouble so far. Young Kurt Cobain would have been like, one of my songs is in a Hollywood movie, I say, simply outrageous. A hypothetical older Cobain, though had he lived to the present, might be more like, I feel a bit conflicted, but ultimately it's a cool film, so I don't really mind. Just don't put a Nirvana track on the next Disney cash grab or something. Not that I knew the guy, he died when I was 11. Batfleck was utterly wasted, he was so good. Just got given often lame scripts and had a rubbish bat symbol, don't care if it's the Dark Knight Returns reference, looks more like a brick than a bat. Excellent sequences such as the sex trafficking scene really showcased his potential and how little of it we saw. He didn't get one movie, we just got movies that had him in it.
Truth.
Never did he have his very own. Going to be a
No.
great topic for a Luke essay or a Schway episode, or both.
You know what? He deserved his own Batman movie. And the way that it's going now, I'm sure it's gonna be great. But I just give the man he's got an Oscar for crying out loud.
Well, he's the one that gave up. Well, he contributed towards giving up being
Yeah.
Batman because apparently he got fed up of people asking him about this Batman movie he was writing and he was going to direct all the time. It was too much pressure for him. But anyway, the Phantasms comment says, "Hey guys, great discussion last time. Looking forward to hearing you talk about my comment from last time and also hearing Mary's thoughts. I'm quite excited for the Penguin series, and I loved Colin Farrell in the role, although for me, Burgess Meredith is still the definitive Penguin actor. I will say that the trailers for the show feel a bit too much like The Sopranos, but still excited." Oh, and in regards to Superman, I meant to say this last time, but I have to say that for me, so far, the best modern Superman is Tyler Hoechlin? I think that's how you say his name. In Superman and Lois, I probably said it wrong, I apologise. I really think they nailed Superman's good-hearted nature, and I loved how they depicted him struggling with fatherhood. I know you guys haven't checked it out yet, and it took me a bit to get to as well, but I was pleasantly surprised that it doesn't take place in the same continuity as any of the previous CW Arrowverse shows, thankfully. It's also, in my opinion, the best DC show they've made in the CW, really recommend it. Oh, and a show I first started a while ago and have since finished that I absolutely wanted to recommend to you both was The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is a show that convinced me that Rachel Brosnan, I think that's how you say it, will make a perfect Lois Lane. It also stars Michael Zegan, who happened to play Alberto Falcone in the Penguin series. The show takes place in the late 50s, and Rachel plays Midge Maisel, who has everything she ever wanted until her husband leaves her, and she starts pursuing her dream of becoming a stand-up comedian.
You are not the first person that has recommended that to me. It's on Amazon, isn't it?
I don't know.
I think it's on Amazon over here. Um, I do have thoughts in my head to watch it one day, but I will now that you have said it because I trust your opinion.
Next, we have David Carney, who says, "Hope you both had a good weekend. The Batman is one of my favourite films. Paul Dano is brilliant as Riddler. Why does the fans hate every Batman actor? When a new actor is announced, I thought Robert Pattinson was great. You'll be reading Scott Snyder's Absolute Batman. Or will you be reading Scott Snyder's Absolute Batman? Great podcast as always." Yeah, I'm all in on DC's new initiative. I'm very interested in seeing how these newer takes on the characters pan out. So, yes.
Sure.
I may describe some things to Mary that happen in it, and she'll politely nod
Yeah.
and forget about it 2 minutes later.
Yeah.
Okay, so next, I think this is a new commenter, is IWB. If you're not new, I apologise. Yes, my favourite live-action Batman. Jeffrey Wright also voiced Batman in a Max podcast. I really liked his performance. Great.
Can we just say that this movie is kind of overlooked sometimes for how awesome it is, and like the stars in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are in this movie for a reason, and they are popular for a reason. Because most of the people that are in this movie, or in that movie, either have had their own TV shows, have won awards for being like incredibly great, or they're getting Amazon shows or Netflix shows or things like that. It's amazing. And Robert Pattinson. I mean, he can show up in something and people are going to go see it.
Yep.
I might wait a couple weeks, but I'll go see it. Except for that movie about the ending with the 9/11-esque thing. I mean,
Oh, yeah, with Pierce Brosnan in it.
yeah. And I was just like,
I know.
It was good up until that
I knew
moment.
nothing about that film, and then we
Yeah.
watched it, and it's like, oh yeah, today is September 11th, and I'm going to go wait in my dad's office in the World Trade Center for him so I can make amends with him. I was like, wait a minute. I can't even remember what that film is called.
No, it was a good movie up
Yeah.
until then.
All right, let's get on with the comments. So we've got Doc Widener who says, thank goodness you're here. All caught up, so giving up the harks to the next person that may want to use it as they catch up. My new opening is based on the great new game. Have either of you played it? I don't know. I don't know which game you're referring to. Thank goodness you're here. Oh, is that what the game's called? Thank goodness you're here.
No, but I
If
have
it is, I've
been
not played it.
doing a daily crossword.
Speaking of games, have either of you played Fallout London? No, we have not.
No, but I do want to get into the Fallout series. Not the show, I've already got into that,
Yeah,
but
the
like the
games.
video games.
I know Luke doesn't want to review games to not burn bridges, so I'm not expecting a review. I knew you would not reply to all the old posts. They were mainly there to do what I could for the algorithm. Oh, by the way, it was the latter pronunciation which you used, I think, on the Totally Schway podcast. Wide nerd. Without the D in nerd. Used to fit me better at £100 or so ago. Ha ha ha. Mary, Sooner or Poke? Because Buckeye here, you can explain to John. Sooner?
Well, obviously, if I had to choose, I would choose, yeah, I would choose Sooners. Although I think it is about time that they changed their name. Maybe to, I don't know, we're gonna win every game, especially Bedlam. And we are the better team. I mean, that could be the name of them.
It'd be embarrassing when they lost, though, wouldn't
Yeah.
it?
I'm not a Cowboys girl though. As in the OSU Cowboys. I am a Sooners gal.
What was that team you had an argument with Troy Baker about? Remember, he was going on about his Texas college team, and you were like, no, the Oklahoma college team were better.
I think it was OU.
Was it? Because he signed your copy of Bioshock Infinite, didn't he? And he wrote his Texas team slogan on it in
He
big
sure
letters.
did, and I will never ever in my life get rid of that.
Yeah, bless his heart.
I love him. He is truly one of the. I say this about Kevin Conroy as well, but Troy Baker is truly one of the nicest people I've ever met. And that's I've met a few well-known people, not many, but a few, and he has to be one of those people that was just, and I think it is the southern thing,
Yeah.
that he didn't seem annoyed with me. He really, that's telling me to stand up. But he just really got it. As in got life. It's not that serious.
Mhm.
And I love it. And we were at an event, so I mean,
Yeah. I ran into him in a restaurant about 10 years later and went over to talk to him, and he really politely like nodded along, and I could tell he couldn't remember the interaction at all, and it was fine. But he knew the event I was talking about, and the people that we know in common. So he was very polite, and his wife was very nice as well. But anyway, as to this episode, Jeffrey Wright also voices Uatu in Marvel What If. Don't worry, you didn't need to write the pronunciation in brackets, although I appreciate it. I know who Uatu is. Enjoyed What If? Have you seen it? Yes, I have. Pretty quick watch, not perfect. I haven't actually watched season 2 now that you mention it. Something else on my list to watch. But it definitely has its moments. Really enjoyed him in Westworld. Yeah, he was great in that too. I'm kind of surprised you didn't talk about Andy Serkis's take on Alfred. He definitely came across more along the lines of Gotham or Nolan's films, where he clearly had a special ops feel to him and was more in the enabling camp of Alfred's. It might be a fun topic for you at some point. Rank the Alfreds.
Here's the thing. If I start talking about Andy Serkis, it's going to be like if Luke talks about Mask of the Phantasm. It's going to get me onto different topics, and it's going to be 3 hours because Andy Serkis is amazing.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why we didn't touch on it too much is we tried to keep the podcast to under an hour, and also he spent half of his screen time in bed. But well, yeah, that's certainly one way of putting it. I like this take. I like stories like this, Batman Year One and Cape Crusader, that deal with the systematic corruption in the film. Have you given any thoughts to a 1,000 subscriber goal for this channel, Mary? Building the BTAS Lego set was my suggestion, but I'm not sure everyone else is much of a sadist as I am. Though you are almost there. Well-deserved attention. You two are such a delight to listen to. Hope you both have a good week.
I would love to build the Lego set, but what's going to happen next time is we're just going to build it. We're not going to talk about it if we do film it. We're going to probably be watching something while we do it, and just you'll actually see us building it rather than uh us like saying, "Oh, here, here, here," because there's going to be some arguments.
Oh yeah, be like, where is this piece? I can't find it. Oh, it's right under my nose.
Yeah. It's under your foot, Gilly.
Anyway, last comment from the nefarious Mikey Part 2. Dun dun
Dun dun
dun.
dun. Mikey P.
This is Big Mikey P's alt account he used while he got banned for spamming.
Is he still banned?
No, I think he's back.
Oh, yay.
I don't think he really got banned. It's just a joke.
I know you didn't. I know he's innocent.
Of course he is. Hey, Big Mikey P here. Sorry for taking a bit long. Somehow unfixable server 404 comment errors prevented me.
I don't know what that is.
So I'm forced to use a different account. I don't know why I'm laughing. To substitute for the time being. No Nirvana shirt, only Spider-Man, other Batman, and Lumity ones. I fear the 2022 film haters may become right in case the sequels go overboard. Giacchino has been... Was it Giacchino? Anyway, has been a musical gem since Medal of Honor, Call of Duty, and The Incredibles, really. Bruce Wayne's High Rises sort of brings to mind Wayne Manor and Arkham Asylum in the Batman 2004. Yeah, it does, actually. It's a very good observation. 15 minutes and 11. Abstracts shouldn't count. Spin-offs can be mixed. I'm one of those folks who are slightly relieved that Gargoyles never got them, simply because they're just too ambitious and costly. The name Hinden is pronounced Hinden, not Hinden. Great, thank you. 40 minutes and 20. Mathematical has become quite an effective exclamation in Adventure Time, by the way. Words can change meaning and definition given time and effort. True, my multiversal tale seems hilarious, but really with the right animation, execution, and so on, it'll be like those 80s and 90s anime movies all over again. Apologies if that felt like gratuitous continuity. Strict, darker, and edgier sequels, though.
Warner Brothers, you have a great team here. Big Mikey P and Mary Mears. Big Mikey P would be doing all of the work, let's be real. And then I could just say things like, hey.
Also, I may be able to do the occasional Rosencrantz and Guildenstern or Iyashike, mostly as breather tales. 53:45, Kayan Farlander. Okay. I don't think all the Bible is fictional, saying that this aside. Well, we'll try watching the next flip side. However, we'll expect it to be spoiled because I don't plan on seeing the actual show yet unless and until positive critical reviews happen. Addendum. Sad how James L. Jones and Peter Renaday have recently passed away.
Yeah.
Big Mikey P, I'm not convinced that was really you because that comment was very short.
Wait, that's it?
That was it, yeah.
Wow. I was literally just like, oh, is that it?
I'm thinking it as an imposter.
Okay, guys, I just want to say a big thank you for getting me to the subscriber count that I'm on. It's actually kind of weird to say that like nearly 1,000 people are watching stuff on my channel. It's kind of overwhelming sometimes, but it's really cool. I will say this every time. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I really do appreciate it. And I still do not steal Serum Legs word. I just take it. I do steal it.
She makes me do it.
Yes. But yes, thank you guys so much. I am over the moon, and I'm very grateful, and I cannot express exactly how I'm feeling right now other than grateful and thankful, and I just love you guys so much. And especially to the people that have been here since nearly the beginning. I really do wholeheartedly believe that you guys are my friends, and it's actually for a weird kid from Oklahoma that was an overweight kid with psoriasis now has like 1,000 friends, and I'm gonna get a bit emo if I keep talking, so I love you. Bye.
We haven't talked about the next episode.
Oh, it's gonna be Penguin.
Yeah, the next episode of Penguin.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll be doing this show weekly.
Yeah.
For the rest of the Penguin season. So
sure.
You've got that to look forward to. Maybe we should have said that at the start. Maybe. I don't know.
Leave them guessing until the end.
I think we've agreed that we're going to continue to do Totally Schway episodes every other week. So
Yeah.
there may be a situation where you end up with an episode of Totally Schway and Totally Schway Flipside on the same day,
Oh,
which
no. Well,
or shortly afterwards,
yeah.
because the Penguin actually doesn't start until Sundays, does it? So maybe it'll go out on a Monday or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That'll work okay.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say yeah.
Yeah, you can tell I haven't really thought about this properly.
It's because we're both, again, we say this every time, but we're both really tired. My cat woke me up at 2 o'clock yesterday, and I'm still kind of like reeling from that.
Yeah.
And I baked today, and I cooked really early, and now I'm just like, meh.
And I've still got loads of editing to do because I'm massively behind on all of my videos and I'm actually getting a bit stressed about it.
Oh my God, we're real people.
Oh my God.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I'm gonna finish my crossword now.
All right, cool. Let's end it there.
Again, guys, thank you so much, and I truly do love you guys. Bye.